everyone. Happy Wednesday for me before the holiday. I thought I would get week 16 in before I head out, and you may or may not see this before the holiday, but if you do see it before the holiday, happy holiday. Thanksgiving, whatever it is your particular family celebrates. I hope you enjoy whatever time you get to take off. And if you're trying to catch up, I hope you get that done as well. So this week, I want to go over the work and revisit Project Zero. I have a early Christmas present for you all. Okay, so let's look at the work we have. I've been thinking about this a bit, and I think I've been really kind of thinking about, come back to you. I've been really thinking about what these last two lectures, because not going to do the last part of the Bootstrap JavaScript, which by the way, I recommend you checking out anyway, but I'm not going to include it in our requirements or in our, in our requirements. But what I would say to you is there's two things. One that Nina suggested, which I really like, and I may do in week 17, but one that I at least want to give you an introduction to, and that is the idea of build tools. So what we've been doing is really web development, creating web pages at a very fundamental level, and really in a very hard way, which is part of what happens when you learn. And there are build systems that can take your project structures, your subdirectories, and then the types of things you'd like to do, like linting, check your code to make sure it's correct, minification, all kinds of stuff that you can do to the code that you've written to prepare it for the web. Okay, so we're just going from code to web, but really in a real world environment, there's many more things you would do. So in that vein, I at least like to introduce you to this idea of workflow, and we're going to do it using something called Grunt. There's really two popular ones, Gulp and Grunt, and I really like this. It is an hour and 17 minutes, so you need to watch the whole thing. It is, again, from Ray Villalobos from Lenda. So I want you to check that out, and that'll be your notes. And again, I think, and I almost thought about on the last one giving you an option to say which one you want. So maybe we'll think about that one. I'm open to that. So that's what you need to do for the lecture, and then and these are after the holidays, but then for the current topics, one of the things you really have to do to even get Grunt and other things is to understand at least a concept of what NPM, and this is Node Package Manager, is. And so this is a short video to give you an overview of what it is if you don't already know. And then I've also provided a link to the website, and there are many things in the veins of what I was talking about earlier, and I didn't even really begin to touch on all of them. These are just some of the popular ones. So first, what I want you to do is take a look at this video and then go to the website and then choose one that you want to know more about, and everyone choose a different one. Okay, and look at all of them. I mean, there's a huge amount, 209,000 different packages online, but these are really the most popular ones that you can use. Okay, and Bower is actually just a different package manager, and he talks about that. Ray talks about that in the lecture this week. Okay, so then you'll give us a link to the one that you want to look at and describe it, right, and provide links. Okay, so that's your current topic. So then our hands-on. So I've been thinking about this, and it's been really great to have people come talk to me, because it really helps me understand where there might be some holes in what I want you to do as far as Project Zero. And one of the things, I know I didn't intentionally do this, but when I did my the clean blog bootstrap thing, I followed what I had developed for the course, and that might have thrown some people off. So I thought, well, let me go back and actually do an example. So I want to talk about content strategies here and revisit this idea. But before I do that, let's actually revisit Project Zero. Your early Christmas present is I looked at this and I decided to move from 20 to 25 pages, topics, okay? Still within the 4 to 5 categories. And then each topic will become a page. This is still true for a total of 21 pages, and so the index page is not included in this 20 like before, right? Each page needs to have a copy of your content from the selected Canvas item. This is an associated image, nothing new here. And then I still am going to put this one, and I think I'm going to take this off. I'm going to call this optional. And the reason I said the whole 2-column thing was where I was showing how to then link sub topics within your overall site plan. And that's what I really want to focus on today. So I'm going to make this optional. Okay, I haven't put this, but this is optional. So if you end up doing 1 column, that's okay. And then each page does need to have a unique title. You still need to write 200 words of original content on the index page, and then 150 for each of your menu pages. Okay, and then bootstrap or the ending. This is nothing new. This is new. Okay, so, and by the way, notice that I've put final version, so I'm not going to change this unless there's just clarification that's needed. So to submit it, you provide a link to your server space. And by the way, I want the server space, the project 0 to be in the root directory. Okay, and so what do I mean by that? Believe this should make sense, but as an example, let me bring up mine. Okay, so it's 16. So the link you should give me should be to your server space or wherever it is. Like I've given other options, but I suspect most people will use a server space in this case. So I want whatever project whatever I'll get this in a minute, I promise. So I want your project 0 to be hosted out of the root of the domain, which means it must be in the HTTPS docs. Okay? All right. So just to clarify that. So then coming back here, so the other thing I want you to provide me is a link to your site. That should be plan. That is plan, drawing, and then also this last piece is I want you to grade yourself, right? So look at all the requirements and the points, and then tell me what you think the grade you deserve based on the requirements. Okay. All right. So that's the final version of Project 0. And then I went ahead and pulled back the site plan I had started a couple weeks back, right? And I want you to revisit yours as well, because this week for the hands-on, I actually want you to give me a link, or give us all a link to your updated site plan, right? So your index file and markup. And again, this is why I may have thrown a few people off by when I did it. I ended up doing it based on this. And honestly, I did it because I wanted to externalize my content from Canvas for reasons of the next time I taught it. But anyway, doesn't matter. So I ended up doing a one that actually resembles this as well. So here's what I want to show you. So when you have this is your menu, right? Whatever these are, 4 to 5 of these. And then the way this is depicted is that from this page, this markup page, actually I did this one, but it doesn't really matter because they could be either one. But I have then a link directly from that page to another page called versions, and another one called tooling, and another one called semantics. And again, this is just the example. Let me actually blow this up. This actually should be plus. Not sure why that's doing that. Oh, there we go, the other way around. So in this case, right, so that's the example. So I actually want to show you this live so that you can see it. So however you are laying out your content, so this is what I'm calling content strategies, right? Make sure, because I will be looking at this to then show me when I'm looking at your site this same structure. Now this doesn't correlate to a file structure. This just correlates to the way you've linked a ref, okay, linked from one page to another. Okay, so let me actually, if you have that. So I want you to revisit this. I want you to, again, now we're down to 20, so if you want to take off some, that's cool. I definitely would tell you at this point, you want to have built out these pages, even if you don't have content on them. I would go ahead and build them out, and this gives you that opportunity to do it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up Sublime. And I went ahead, and let me just show you. Here's my, and this is just open in browser. So I went back to the standard one, and I chose web development, which I said I just realized I should have chosen the markup, but it doesn't really matter. right? So from my index page, right, and then I haven't modified this content, but I have modified some content here, and I've also have not yet modified my title. So just make sure I point that out. So now when I click on web development, that gives me that page, that web dev page. Okay, so again, from this, I'm clicking on, sorry, that's a little confusing. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to take these, and I think I can do this. Just put them over here. Hang on, I'll just fix this and I'll come back. Okay, so this is the structure that we're talking about, right? It's from this page. I would then have these 3 pages linked somehow. So when we're looking at it in my web dev page, then I would scroll down and I could have tooling, right? So again, here we go, right? So here's my tool, my tooling, I call it, no biggie. And then in there I would then have a link to another page called tooling. Now, right now that page doesn't exist, right? But I've in my code, so I'm going to pull back my Sublime text. I'm going to go down, I'm in web dev right here, okay? And I've said under this, I've called an H1. I've said an aref to tooling. Now tooling doesn't exist, right? So again, I would just, and I've showed this a couple times, but it never hurts, file, save as. Now the key is I would take the page in the structure that I'm in. And why is that? Because it's got the same image and it gives you the concept of that you're on this major category of your page or your navigation. So I would want to copy from this main category page for my sub pages. So because I don't have what page yet? I don't have tooling, right? So I would take this and I would call this tooling. Now, whatever you name it, and by the way, if you didn't notice, I just did, right? It has to be exact. If it's uppercase, but I don't recommend that, right? So hit tooling here. So now I have a new page. It got created here. I could bring my web dev back here, and I could bring my tooling back, and then I would go through my tooling page, and I would, instead of here, instead of modern, I would call it maybe my favorite tools. This is what I like to use, right? Okay, so I'm going to save that. So now I'm going to come back here. I'm still in this page. This page has not changed. I've got to come down to tooling, and then tooling takes me to the tooling page. Good. And then I would have content here. Now, the content you can use, like I said, it has to be enough of a content to constitute a page, right? And so it could be part of the lecture, could be the writing that you did for that. But I want you to, give this, right? So now let's just follow this through. So now from that page, I have semantics and I have version. So I would have 3 pages linked. So I haven't done them all, but the concept is there. So I'll have 3 pages. I think I have 2 of these open, so let me just close one. So then I have semantics, giving meaning, right? So then I have a link to that. I haven't created it yet. So, and then within my tooling page, then I would have another one linked to the Sublime text, right? So then under here, under my heading here, I would do, maybe I would take this H1, place it up here. This is on my tooling page. I like a heading because every heading helps you understand Sublime text, right? Alright, I'm going to get rid of this for now, okay, just so you can see it. And then you would have whatever content, whether it was from the lecture or whatever that was. I'll go ahead and hit save here. So now under tooling, right, so this would be my Sublime text link, right? So I would have something about tooling. Now actually, now that I think about it, it might make sense to actually have some content here. So let me actually slow down. So this would be where you'd have another paragraph, right, that actually links. So let me be clear, because I don't think I was totally clear. So at web dev, again, what I'm doing this is based on the logic of my layout, because then I would have from web development, the main page, I'd have a tooling page. And under my tooling page, I could talk about, content we've talked about, because we've talked about different kinds of tools here. We've talked about maybe in this case, developer tools, right? The developer tools in Chrome. Oh my God, right? Such an amazing thing here. So you might talk about that content here. And then you might say, right, here, my favorite editor, right? And then you would either link that H1, which you could, right? You could do this however you want, right? And so if you wanted to, you could maybe do this. Typically you don't link headings, but and then I could do sublime.html, right? And that, make sure I come over here and then do, there we go. It's always fun to watch somebody else code. Not. Okay, so then come down here. So now I have web dev. I go down to tooling. Tooling's got a page where I may talk about Chrome Dev Tools, and then I could have another link to Sublime, which again is not here yet, right? But this is the idea of following your structure, following the structure that you've built. And at this point, I would say to you, you probably want to have this structure after this week kind of settled, because building this out and then starting building the files themselves and then having the linkage represented by what your concepts were on your sitemap, right? Would be a wonderful start. And then you're just taking content and copying and pasting it from Canvas. Now, obviously when you do web development, this content strategy is really important, right? So when I'm saying it here, it's in the context of Project Zero, but really content is so important. Content is still king on the web. Videos are awesome, images are awesome, content is still king. We all are still, and king in this sense is that it's still really, really important, okay? But again, I'm really talking about how do you place the content that you have already written into Project Zero website. Okay? Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to give you for this week 16. We've gone over what you needed. Make sure that when you give me the on the hands-on, you give me a link, and I'll put this in here. I want you to give me a link to your hopefully at this point finalized version of your site plan. And I will chat with you. And by the way, if you have a preference, I know Nina has done her preference. Would you like me to just open it up and let you all choose some hour, and it would just be an hour of a topic you wanted to learn something about? Although I really like Nina's idea of Google Analytics, because it really is an important part to understand how to look at the activity that's coming at your site, analyzing it to improve stickiness, to improve, abandoned shopping carts. That's the idea. Somebody goes to, this happened to me last night. I was on a site and I was shopping for some things because they had it at cost. But I noticed that the site didn't have a current certificate, an HTTPS. So I was just going to do it and I said forget it. And so as a web developer or as a site owner, I'd want to know, why did people do that? So I'm, by the way, going to contact them and go, this is why I did it, because you guys didn't have a current HTTPS, a current certificate. So Google Analytics will help you understand. That's a very individual case, but it will help you understand from a larger perspective what your users, how much time are they spending there, what are they looking at, right? How are they finding it? There's just so much on Google Analytics, so I think an hour on that would be worth it as well. So maybe however you want to, maybe in chat. How about that? So if you have a preference and you hear this, say it in chat, and I will. I need to hear from you in the next week though, because this time next week I'll be doing the last lecture, week 17. Okay, our last weekly check-in. All right, have a great one, and I'll talk to you after the holiday. I'll be in and out during the holiday as I see questions posted. If I have time, I'll reply. You've been great about helping each other as well. And remember, check if you need to come see me next week. I'll be around. Just check my office hours. Peace out.